What's going on, everybody? We're back with Fifth Down Territory, produced by Stadium Rant. It's Lamb, Bahookie. We got Dan Baker from Fantasy Rant, or at Follow the Volume over here, filling in for Shane and Louie. He's doing double duty for those guys tonight. So without further ado, let's get into it. So as you see from the title, we're apparently shit talking head coaches, and it's okay because it's a bodily function. It's not a swear word. Two different things, so that's a loophole for us. Um, I mean, I can like Dan, you start, I'm gonna push the link to some people, and then you start, and I'll get into it when I
I like
feel it.
it. All right, so the head coach I'm shitting on is Ron Rivera. Commanders had all of the hope in the world heading into this season. I get it; they're in a tough division. Dallas and Eagles aren't easy to take on 4 times a year, but they have not been performing. The only wins that they've had this year coming against the Patriots, the Falcons, the Broncos, and the Cardinals. That's just atrocious. They had losses against the Giants twice this year. The defense absolutely in shambles, and again, they sold all their pieces because they weren't getting the job done with them. Probably a good move by the GM if they're on the last year of their deal. Go out and get what you can from them. But Ron Rivera, the comment at the beginning of the season, I really feel like said it all. He was watching Sam Howell, and he's like, "Oh man, if I knew I had a quarterback this good, I would have started him earlier last season." What are you doing? What
Yeah,
like
that's literally
that
your
is
job.
that's your pretty much your biggest role as the head coach. Get your studs out there. So just incredibly disappointing season from the Commanders. Hoping that he's gone by next year and that Bieniemy is, taking the reins. Maybe with a new tight end, little Bauer situation getting drafted. I'm hoping for it.
It's the only piece of the offense that they don't have a really good player at. Right. Well,
Yeah,
I mean, I think their offensive line definitely needs work, which is funny because when Rivera got there, he had like a top rated offensive line in Washington, and then he
yeah.
let Brandon Sheriff go. He let some more like other players go as well.
Way back in
And
the day,
that's
Trent Williams
yep, yep.
should have
That
never let
that
him
that
walk.
situation deteriorated very fast. Bahookie, who you shitting on this week?
So I had three of them written down here, but
Good. I like it.
so, so one last goodbye to Brandon Staley. We've made a living, um, but that's now the best job available. It's, if you ask me, they have
Oh,
Oh boy.
they have a franchise quarterback. He'll be back, and he's back right now.
all
Oh,
right. So he's moving on to the next one. Arthur Smith, about as bad of a loss as you could have. We've been making a living clowning on Arthur Smith as long as we've had this show, and I'm not going to get away from that today. And number three, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. Fine, then is what I said. Like, like what you say to your mom when you're not getting your way. So that's kind of what happened. And $100,000 and $50,000. Watch the tape, boys. Everyone saw it from. I saw it from the 300 level before the play even developed. I'm tired of hearing about this play that wasn't.
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, I definitely agree. Like the one I agree with the most there is obviously Arthur Smith. I mean, he should be banned from the NFL at this point. Terry Fontenot is doing his job correctly as far as I'm concerned. He is stacking that team with offensive skill power, and then Arthur Smith is like, nah, I'm going to throw it to our fourth tight end, or I'm going to give it to Cordell Patterson, or we're going to get Matt
Seriously.
Collins the ball. And thank you for the 20 people who are watching, by the way. I think that's a record number for us. So, like,
Let's go.
I like that
I
for live
had a
viewers.
shot ready for later, but I'll take a shot for that.
There we go.
Hell yeah.
There we go.
It must be the title. It must be the title. Shit talking head coaches. People must feel very, very passionately about this. But yeah, Arthur Smith. So my second one is Arthur Smith with only a mustache. Mustache Arthur Smith. is my second dude I am shit talking because, dude, A, you look like a fool. B, you coach like a fool. And like, I am sick and tired of hearing people say, I don't care about your fantasy team. Well, dude, my fantasy team has good football players on it. You want to know what that helps you do in the NFL? It helps you win football games. Go lose to the Panthers and give the ball to Cordell Patterson and Tyler Algier 15, 20 times a game. It's absolutely ridiculous. They have one of the better offensive lines in the league as well. But last year they were a top 8 rushing success team. This year they're 27th. Maybe that's because you're giving the ball to the wrong people. You go and spend elite draft capital on elite players and you don't use them. So, yeah, Arthur Smith, he should have been fired after losing to the Panthers, man. That's a sorry-ass organization as well. And if you can't beat them in a divisional game where the other team scores 9 points, buddy, you got issues. Sorry, Clint and Jordan. They host the Falcons Fade podcast. Sorry, I'm talking about your Falcons like this.
We're not that sorry.
Well, I mean, once Arthur Smith goes,
They know.
I will be more sorry.
They know.
They
watch these games.
all Falcons players are hereby banned from any of my redraft teams as well. Not drafting them. I have them stuck with Bijan's in dynasty leagues. Gonna have to wait it out because that performance that he just did last week is not going to get me what I want for him. So I might just be stuck with him until like middle of next year.
Right. Even with Arthur Smith, all he did last year was run the ball, and he can't even get that right after drafting a running back in the top 10 picks. That's the one thing we were relying on him for. Like, yeah,
what are you doing?
Run your high T offense, pound the ball, just make sure Bijan's getting at least 50% of the touches, and you can't trust him for anything.
I mean, dude, we watched the Vikings give the ball to Ty Chandler 26 times, and that worked out very well for him. And Bijan Robinson's about 19 times the player that Ty Chandler is. No disrespect to Chandler. Actually really liked him when he came out of college. Have him on stash in some dynasty leagues. But, yeah, man, Arthur Smith, you need to go. And also, his job was safe, barring a massive collapse at the end of the season. And losing to the Panthers, my guy, like that. Ooh, okay. Now we can talk about another coach that Bahookie mentioned because he went before me. But Brandon Staley, there's one dude I despised more than Arthur Smith as a head coach. It was Brandon Staley. That dude had no idea how to win a football game. I'm sorry. And you took Justin Herbert off that team, and then they scored 21 points after they got 63 put up on them for a defensive mastermind that he was in Las Vegas or Los Angeles. His defenses sucked this entire stretch. Name one year where it was good, and it's had good players: Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, Derwin James, Asante Samuel Jr. Like that. If you give a Bill Belichick those players, he's having a good defense with them. You don't know what to do on the offensive side. Now I can kind of transition to the last coach I'm going to shit talk. Yeah, the GOAT. He is over the hill. Over the hill. It's done. It's over. Please, somebody, send us a first-round draft pick for him. Now, I am being very rich there. I don't think they'll get a first. Maybe a second. But, like, we have people in here in New England who are sitting there like, oh, you can't trade Bill for less than 2 firsts. I'm like, that's 2018. Like, are we living in a world where we didn't just sit through this 4-year run of just putridness? So, yeah, Bill Belichick, Brandon Staley, Arthur Smith. The fact that I just uttered Belichick's name in that same sentence of those 2 other coaches shows you where I am with my team and my love for that team. So
yeah, no, it's a rough.
Wow, that felt good. That felt good to get off.
I think we needed that.
I told you I was going to come in when I felt it. I felt it. Now I feel good. Woo!
Got to get it out times, you know?
Yeah, no, I, so I have Bijan on both of my big money home league teams, and he threw up the .4 in the playoffs in both. And if he had just had a respectful game, I would have won at least one of them and made a better case the second. So
it was the best matchup you could ask for. Carolina in a rain game.
Would you have played James Cook versus the Cowboys or Bijan Robinson versus the Panthers?
I'm taking that against Carolina. I would have started him. Other than Kyron and CMC, Bijan was a lock this week.
I would have started James Cook because I was at the Kansas City game, and I can tell you he was the best player on the field for us the last 2 weeks. And so I was telling all the Cowboys fans that were in my section, James Cook, and they're like, he's not Delvin. I'm like, all right.
He might be better.
And then, it was really something. You know, it's funny. Something I wanted to say. I'm sad Shane's not here. They call the Cowboys America's team. They're actually Canada's team. All of the Cowboys fans in Buffalo were Canadian. I just want to throw that out there.
They had a shorter ride. They had a shorter distance to travel to the game.
They might not get. They don't. The Canadian Cowboys fans might not get to see them so often, but they drove all that way and they got to watch about 3 points until in regulation until a CeeDee Lamb garbage time touchdown.
The Back It Up Binge podcast. What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in, man. But yeah, so any other quick thoughts about week 15 or any of these coaches that we have kind of shit talked?
No, I think we pretty much said it all on the coaches there.
Awesome. Let's move into our next slate of games for week 16. Let me see. Is there a Thursday game this week? I know it kind of tails off.
Yes, there is.
Saints at Rams.
Okay, Saints at Rams. Dan, why don't you start us off, buddy?
All right, I got the Rams here. It would be a little bit closer if Olave was a sure thing. Also got reports that Michael Thomas and Marshawn Lattimore are not expected to return this week. That being said, it's going to be the Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua show. I'm expecting them to continue to get about 50% of the targets here and just absolutely run up the points on the Saints defense. They've been trash over the back half of the season. So, yeah.
Unfortunately for me, it was more a Cooper Kupp week than a Puka Nacua week. I hope Puka Nacua comes back strong and has one of those blow-up games next week. But ultimately, it's the Rams here. The Saints, they were kind of struggling with the Giants and Tommy DeVito. Tommy DeVito got hurt in that game. Pretty sure, like, it was almost a concussion. I don't know what you call an almost concussion now. He was probably concussed. But, you know, he came back in. They're playing at like half of his, you know, typical Italian speed. And the Saints did win that game. But Matt Stafford and company have been on a tear since about week 9, I believe it is, when they started really going out. Right when Kyron Williams came back to the fold. The offense clicked. Cooper Kupp's healthy, and Puka Nacua's kind of stepped into that elevated Robert Woods role. And they have Demarcus Robinson, who's a very solid 3, and Tyler Higbee is a good tight end. So good coach, gets all those people involved. They're going to be involved on Thursday. Bahookie, go for it.
Yeah, I got the Rams here as well. I think the home
field advantage for the Rams.
All the skill players being out. I'm going to go with the Rams and Kyron Williams and Puka Nacua and Kupp and Matt Stafford. I'm liking the Rams at home here.
Louis said the Rams as well, so just got to make sure I get his pick. I have not gotten picks from Shane, but I assume he will send them in at some point. So, all right, next game on the schedule, then we can go to
Saturday, 4:30.
Yeah, Saturday at 4:30. You got Bengals, Steelers. I'll go first here. Give me the Bengals. Mason Rudolph might start in this game. Big yuck for the Steelers.
That tells you
So,
everything you need to know right there.
yeah, that's all that we need to know about that football
Yeah,
game.
we got a sweep here.
We're all on the same page. My one note, I said losing Jamar Chase hurts, but not as much as starting Mason Rudolph.
Yeah, I mean T. Higgins is going to be able to dominate that secondary. But yeah, I mean we could just kind of move on from that game then. Other Saturday game. This one is Bahookie, talk your talk here. This one's
There
for
you go.
you. Bills Chargers.
All right, well, we're into this stretch of the season here for the Bills, and everything that they want is still in front of them. All they have to do is not stumble against a team with no quarterback and no coach, a team that's tanking, and take it into a team that's going to be playing the hardest schedule of the last 3 weeks. What could go wrong?
Don't like how
I'm
you
riding
said
with
that.
the Bills, and I think that the way that James Cook has played the last couple of weeks, it's unlikely he has another 179 rushing yard, 226 yard all total offense game. I think they're going to pack 7 in the box, and this is going to be the Josh Allen show. I think we're going to see 400 yards passing offense from Josh Allen this week. I think this is going to be a Gabe Davis game because we haven't heard his name in about 3 or 4 weeks. So it's probably about time for him to have one of those 2 or 3 touchdown games to make people think that he's something, and then for him to disappear for the rest of the season.
So I'm on the opposite. I'm not on the opposite end. Bills are winning this football game, but I'm on the opposite receiver. Stephon Diggs is going to get his squeaky wheel treatment today.
That tip that on that third down at full speed, dude, I saw that shit live. My goodness gracious, the Bills didn't have that many great passing plays, but Josh did make the ones that he needed to make, and I'm not worried about this passing game. I'm just really happy to see us learning how to win in multiple ways.
Yeah,
So
they only threw the ball 15 times in that game. 15 passing attempts and 49 rushing attempts as a team. It's insane.
Aiden O'Connell scorched this defense last Thursday. So I don't think that the Bills are gonna have any issues here. They're gonna roll. So it looks like 2 uneventful Saturday night games for us, but it's still cool that football's on Saturday.
Yeah, we get almost 4 consecutive days of football, just skipping over Friday there, but that's amazing. I'll take that.
Totally fine with it. All right, now we're moving into the Sunday slate. We got the Packers and Panthers. Dan, no, Bahookie, no, wait. I'll go first because that's kind of how we've done this. I'm going to take the Packers here. I think that this Panthers win was an arbitration. You got a very movable object that meet a very stoppable force last week in the Falcons v Panthers, and I just think the Packers are a better team than both of them. So yeah, give me the Packers over the Panthers here. Who wants to go next?
I'll go next. I had one other thing I forgot to mention about the Bills. Daquan Jones practice window activated. Massive news to get that guy back. And also, it looks like Milano's done for the year. And the Panthers released cough, cough, Justin Houston to the Bills. Cough, cough. Justin Houston only wants to play for a contender in this back half of the year. Anyways, yeah, I also got Green Bay over Carolina. That's an easy one.
100%. Even with the Packers struggling right now, the Panthers absolutely terrible run defense. Now that the Packers have Aaron Jones back, really expecting that to be really all they need. That and their defense.
Unless you're Bijan Robinson.
Yeah, unless you're Bijan Robinson. Unless you're coached by Arthur Smith. But yeah, no, Aaron Jones, another week removed from the injury. I think he'll get a higher snap percentage than we saw last week. Expecting a big game from him this week.
Word. So Louis on the Packers as well. Moving on to the next game, we can do what are we doing here? We're gonna do the Browns and Texans in a massive playoff determiner matchup here. You talk your talk, Dan. Go for it.
You know I gotta take the Browns. You see the shirt.
It's in your contract. It's in your
my
contract.
Find it. You know I have to take them. So yeah, I'm taking Browns regardless if CJ Stroud plays or not. But early reports he's still in the concussion protocol right now. Haven't seen any news come out about Nico Collins yet. So I love that for the Browns. We have struggled much more on the road than at home, our defense specifically. But I think that Myles Garrett's finally starting to get back to form. And I think we're going to cause some troubles, even for a rookie quarterback that's been looking really promising. I think we're going to get home a lot in this game.
So, I mean, if Case Keenum plays, it's Joe Flacco versus Case Keenum in the 2016 Bowl. And it turns out that Case Keenum can still pick up wins, and so can Joe Flacco in this league. So this is definitely tough for me because I want to say the Browns, but I'm still gonna say the Texans because they just showed a lot of grit. I mean, both teams showed a lot of grit. I think this past week they both show that they can win without a solid quarterback. And I mean, you guys still have Amari Cooper, but like with lesser wide receivers and skill weapons. I mean, nobody's been injured as much as the Browns in this year. I don't think. So they're still 9-5. They're still right in the thick of things. So they're playing very good football. A slight edge. This is like a 2-point game to me. I think the Texans eke one out with like a last minute field goal, like 19-20, something like 2019, 2017, something around that like marker point there. Bahookie, what do you think, buddy?
Yeah, I'm taking the Texans here as well, and this one was tough. The Browns have really
Dan's pissed.
The Browns have really been impressing me here. I don't feel like they can continue to put it out at the way that they have. Like I feel like they're kind of due for like a bad game, and the Texans, and I'm giving the Texans the edge at home. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the Browns don't play as well on the road as they do at home, so like that's definitely.
But yeah. Part of this is me as a Bills fan just wanting the AFC to continue to converge. If I'm being
Lou, you and Louie are gonna have a contract war. It's actually gonna be a steel cage match where you two are gonna fight, and that's gonna determine the winner of the game. So Louis says Texans, you say Browns. That's what it is for this week. What else we got here? We got the Colts and the Falcons. Give me the Colts. Arthur Smith, get fired today, please.
That'd be amazing.
So I'm so sick of that guy being on a football team.
Is anyone taking Arthur Smith the rest of the season?
Nah, me and my buddy, Bahookie, me and Sasha were talking. He was basically like, we're gonna send an email to Arthur Blank, and we'll coach the team for $100K a piece, just straight for free. He's gone. He didn't hear it. That's where I said that. Sasha and I were talking, and he said that he was going to email Arthur Blank and said that me and him could go coach that team for like you pay for our food, our housing, and like $1,000 a week. That's it. All you got to pay for a couple coaches on the staff.
Just a 2-bedroom apartment.
Yeah. Nothing fancy, bro. I'll go coach that team. We'll go beat the Carolina Panthers. Don't you worry about that, brother. I don't know about the rest of the games, but give me the Colts here. Gardner Minshew, way better quarterback than anybody on the Falcons, and he's not very good. So
it's a sweep. We all got the Colts here.
100%.
Yeah, not after what that happened.
Yeah.
Huh?
I said, especially if JT ends up healthy for this game.
Yeah, absolutely. So the next game, yucky yuck. Commanders and Jets. Somebody else talk about this for a minute.
I went with the Jets here because usually when you see teams get shut out, and get blown out like that, they usually kind of return to the mean the week after that. And I really don't like either of these teams. I would just say that I like the Jets at home marginally more.
Yeah,
Dan, go
I'm
for
kind of
it.
in the same boat. It's just both offenses make so many mistakes. The Jets defense is just more likely to capitalize on those mistakes. So I'll roll with the Jets here. But if Brissett starts, he did look good last week. It was
Brissett
interesting.
flame broiled me in garbage time.
Yeah,
Because those
going
Terry
back to Allen,
McLaurin, those Terry McLaurin catches in the fourth quarter, man. Not again. I lost by like 10 points. Like either one of those catches don't happen, I'm probably okay. The
yeah.
48 yarder to the 1 yard line, like the 29-yard touchdown, sitting there like, oh no.
Bro, I
So
feel you.
yeah,
Also started Bijan and lost by 2 points as the second seed or the 2 seed in my fantasy playoffs.
Yeah, this was one of the
Wah,
wackiest first round
wah.
playoff fantasy
Yeah.
playoffs I've ever seen. I saw so many lower seeds upset higher seeds, myself included.
Yeah. It was the one league too where the 2 seed doesn't get a bye.
Yep.
They end
It
up
happened.
getting 8 teams
I
in
was the
there.
3 seed. Our 2 seed got
Right.
upset as well. If that makes you feel any better.
It doesn't, but I appreciate you.
No, it does not. It can't. It doesn't make it up. So yeah, are we all in accordance with the Jets here, the team who's trying to win football games even though they shouldn't?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. Next game, finally a good one. Maybe not though. Lions Vikings divisional matchup. Bahookie, go for it, buddy.
In our midseason predictions, I said that the Lions were the team I was most confident in the NFC, and since then they've fallen the hell apart. And I'm hoping that this is the week they get it back together. Because my goodness gracious, if they want to be a team that's going to win a playoff game, they got to start acting like it. So I'm taking the Lions here.
Jared Goff threw 5 touchdowns last week.
He had a good week last week,
against
but
Denver.
I like him continuing to bounce back as well. In Minnesota with the Nick Mullins led offense, it's not it. If they had Kirk Cousins, this would be a great one to watch. But
yeah,
Nick
especially
Mullins,
since it's at 1 o'clock.
yeah, right. It's just Nick Mullins ain't cutting it, even with Justin Jefferson back. I just can't see Minnesota pulling this one out of the hat. Detroit's been really good against the run too, so I'm expecting them to take Ty Chandler away. Think he's going to break a lot of hearts in fantasy playoffs. A lot of people are going to chase those points from last week. I wouldn't do it personally. I think that Detroit wins this handily.
So I was on the Broncos last week, and boy, was I wrong. I did this whole spiel about like being in on the Lions. Really big fan of Dan Campbell and a lot of their skill players. And I mean, I'm just going to use the same argument because that's still how I feel. I just kind of thought that the Broncos were on a bit of a roll there, and their roll got put to a stop and sent the other way by Jared Goff at home. And the Vikings playing a dome.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Jared Goff in a dome. Wrap it up.
There you go. Right, send it.
Send it. Next game on the schedule, we're rolling through these. Seahawks and Titans. This is actually an interesting game, I think. I think both of these teams play very, very hard football. I mean, we just watched the Seahawks beat the Eagles with Drew Lock in there. The Leonard Williams' impact on the Seahawks defensive line is not to be understated. He's playing really good football right now. We saw his name quite often last night against a team who really wants to try and run the ball. And obviously the Titans are a team who really tries to run the ball with Derrick Henry and Tajay Spears. So I think it's going to be more on Levis, who, I mean, I'll be the first one to say this. I clown Levis quite often in the draft process. Everybody,
How can you not?
There's a lot of. I just didn't see it. I didn't see it.
I liked him.
You liked him.
He makes it easy on himself, eating whole bananas and being proud. Someone dunked on this man.
But
it was just I don't know. I thought that he had issues facing pressure and diagnosing where pressure was coming from. I thought he had issues with kind of blocking on with his eyes on some receivers that led him to some of his turnovers in college. I just wasn't a huge fan of his tape, and he has shown that he can at least be a viable like stopgap. I don't know if he's a future like a franchise quarterback, but he's at least shown explosiveness and toughness, and like he's shown a lot of grit, and that's kind of what the Titans need. But all that being said, I'm gonna go Seahawks here. I think Geno's gonna be healthy. I think the secondary of the Titans allows big passing plays often. And I think that's where we're gonna see like maybe the Jackson Smith and the Jigba like, oh, I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah.
So who would you rather have in Dynasty, Will Levis or Bryce Young? Will Levis
right now.
Will Levis, I agree.
Based on his supporting cast.
I mean, even outside of that,
good though. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins is great, but how long is he going to keep it together for? You know,
I mean, Adam Thielen and DeAndre Hopkins are very similar players and very similar like levels of their career at this point. Like, I just one is a 5'11", 200-pound, just tiny quarterback, and the other one's like a 6'3", 220-pound rocket arm like kind of guy. Like, I don't know, it just seems he has more durability right now, and he's already like the game he came in and threw 4 touchdowns is better than like 4 or 5 of Bryce Young's starts right in a row. If you want to like tally up fantasy points, I don't know if that's 100% accurate, but I feel like I'm pretty close. So
no, and on top of it, obviously we know the Panthers have traded away their first round pick. That belongs to the Bears now. Titans still got their first rounder. They're right now 6th in the league, so they'll have a top 10 pick even if they win a game or 2 from here on out. And then they go into next season, into 2024, with the most cap space of any team in the league. Panthers are around 10th. So I like them to go out, spend some money, really revamp this team. I don't think it's going to be nearly as long of a turnaround. And then on top of it, we've seen glimpses of hope from Will Levis. Will Levis looks like he could be somebody to build around, whereas I haven't seen those glimpses from Bryce Young. We saw it in college. He looked great. He threw with a lot of anticipation, but he's not shown any of that in the league this year.
Panthers fans are screaming at you, if there's any of them watching, about Bryce Young's last drive to get a field goal. Or I'm sorry, they kicked a field goal to win that game, Eddie Panera. So they're screaming about his last drive, going 5 for 5 for like 60 yards there.
What a glimpse!
Oh man, really good job. You traded Caleb Williams and DJ Moore for that. Good job, guys. Exactly. Good job. Way to be. Actually, I just did a 3-round Panthers mock draft. I had Xavier Worthy going to him at 33 overall. He kind of slipped out of the first. I had them getting Jonah Ellis, edge rusher out of Utah. So, I mean, I like Jonathan Mingo. I like Brian Burns. I just like there's some players on that roster. If JC Horn could stay healthy, like they have something there. But they need to do a lot in the offseason to kind of make up for it. So I think Brian this is like Burns a 2 days. Yeah, Brian Burns might leave, and they could have gotten 2 firsts for him. Yep. Or they could have just traded Burns in that deal.
I liked everything you said about Will Levis and whatnot, and gave him his flowers. And I also am going to land on Seattle here. I feel like Seattle's fighting for playoff position here, and if they can't win this game against a team that, like we said, is ascending but is still in the bottom 10, then they don't deserve to be a playoff team. But I'm gonna take Pete Carroll and this team. I think they're gonna be able to run the ball, and it's gonna be.
I honestly forgot that we were even talking about that game because I got so upset about the Panthers trade that like it threw me into a tizzy. So
no,
I'm glad Bahookie brought us back on track there, which is actually a very, very rare thing for Bahookie to be doing.
True.
Yeah, and I actually didn't make my pick yet, and I'm actually going to go the other way. I'm taking Tennessee. Over the last 3 games, Seattle has allowed 162.3 rushing yards per game. That's just insane. I'm expecting a huge game from Derrick Henry. One of those games where Titans fans are like, I kind of wish we didn't win that one. But, I think that they are almost near as complete of a team as the Seahawks are if they had the wide receivers that the Seahawks do. That could be the one downfall to my pick right now. But I'm gonna roll with a big Derrick Henry game, taking the Titans at home in this one.
Word. All right. I believe that's it for the 1:00 slate. Moving on to the afternoon. Yeah. Because I was just looking at one game's on Monday at 1:00, but that's Christmas Day, and I was like, wait
We're
a
on
minute.
at 4:00.
Christmas. We got some Christmas games.
Yeah, but that just confused me for a second. All right, Jaguars Bucks. Trevor Lawrence is still in the concussion protocol right now. Doesn't look great. He might miss his first game in 50 starts. He's had 50 consecutive starts, so he might miss his first game in 3-4 seasons.
Well, yeah,
How do we
Trevor
feel
Lawrence,
about this? Dan, you want to go?
yeah. Well, Trevor Lawrence has never missed a game in his career, dating back to high school, which is insane in football. That high ankle sprain, I did not think he was going to be able to return in 1 week from that.
Yeah.
So apparently this dude's made of metal. He's a cyborg. So I'm thinking he's going to somehow make it back for this game. Over the first half of the year, we didn't see anybody pretty much come back from concussions in 1 week, but we've started to see that more and more frequently.
I feel like Derek Carr has done it 3 times this month.
Yeah, Derek Carr, Amari Cooper, just off the top of the head, both came back from concussions very quickly. But even if they have Trevor Lawrence, this is the most one with Trevor Lawrence, it's the most interesting game of the week to me. I know we got San Fran and Baltimore coming up later on, which is a huge game. But I think it'd be a shootout if Trevor Lawrence is there. Both teams' defenses rank in the bottom 5 in passing yards allowed. I think that both teams are going to have an absolute field day. I'm starting everybody that I can in the receiving core on both sides. But right now, the healthier side of the ball is the Bucks, and they already do have a better wide receiver core with Christian Kirk being out for the Jaguars. So I'm gonna roll with the Bucks in this one, just because they've been putting up points lately. Jaguars haven't been able to stop anyone, and I think Baker Mayfield is going to catapult the Bucks into a prime position to keep their spot in the playoffs and really take home the NFC South here.
I love that take. I will say something about the Jaguars defense. They are first in the league in takeaways, but if they don't get a takeaway, they're probably giving up a touchdown. Like that's how they've been playing this year. I will say this as well. Baker Mayfield's the only opposing quarterback to ever go into Lambeau Field and have a perfect passer rating.
Wow. That's impressive.
He went off last week. He was feeling very dangerous when he woke up, some may say, last Sunday. I think he wakes up and feels dangerous again against a similarly tough secondary. Like you said, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Ricard White's really good. Cade Otton's a very, very underrated tight end. I think he's always where he needs to be. Sort of like that Heath Miller type of player. That's what Cade Otton reminds me of. You never hear the guy speak words, but like he's always going to be there to catch the football. I will say that the Bucks have this thing going on with Devin White. I'm not really sure what it is, but he was a healthy scratch. Didn't dress during the game. I've been hearing that they've been kind of feuding. So that might be an issue on defense. I mean, I know Levante David's still pretty much timeless. That dude's just inevitable. But yeah, so that might cause some issues with Travis Etienne, but their defensive line's also very good. So give me the Bucks here. If the Jags were healthy, I would pick the Jags, but they're not healthy, so I can't feel comfortable picking them. Go for it, Bahookie.
Yeah, this is definitely a good one. I got the Bucks here as well, but Baker Mayfield is one of the hottest quarterbacks in football right now, and that's just the truth. And the two best bets in football this year have been Mike Evans and Tyreek Hill. Those guys are just so sure of a thing. So yeah, put that Mike Evans anytime touchdown in your parlay. Probably the over on his receiving yards and
It's
completions.
still
Why not?
sitting at like plus one. It's still sitting at plus 160 every week. It never moves up for whatever reason.
It's the
It's always at plus
easiest money in the
160.
NFL.
It's
Yeah.
wild.
Yep.
11 of 15 weeks with a touchdown. Absolutely
Especially,
insane.
yeah, especially against this Jags secondary is.
Yeah.
And I'm
Who is
sorry, that's
not
actually
being very good.
10 of 14 weeks. I forgot the bye week. 10 of 14 there.
I wonder who Louis has in this pick. I was saying.
Yeah. I know exactly who Louis has in this pick, and it's certainly not the Jaguars.
Fraudulent Jaguars.
So we're all going. Or wait, Bahookie. So you're taking the Bucks as well?
Yes, sir.
All right. So we're all going Bucks here. Next game is going to be. Look, Bears at Cardinals in a massive draft matchup. What do we think? Bahookie, you go first here.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I got Chicago at home right here, mostly because I really need Justin Fields to have a big game for my Superflex league.
That
I got
it?
Justin.
No, all you want there?
End of analysis. Because of my fantasy
Clean
team.
and concise. Clean and concise. I like it. Dan,
Yeah, I'm
go
being
for it.
honest.
I'm going to take the Bears as well. Right now, Marquise Brown not expected to make this game. After that, you got James Conner and you got Trey McBride. McBride's been looking great, but right now the Bears have been holding running backs to. They've been just looking great over the back half of the season. Right now, Chicago has allowed the least rushing yards per game over the course of the season, only allowing 79.8 rushing yards per game. And that's hold true over the last three as well. That's not just like a recency or a stat that held up at the beginning of the year, only 80.7 yards over the last three. They've gone up against good rushing teams in the past tee games. So I do think that the Bears are turning it around. I think Montez Sweat's going to touch home a few times on Kyler. I think that we're to Bahookie's benefit here. I think Justin Fields is going to come up with a huge game. I'm expecting DJ Moore over 100, and whoever the running back they choose this week. You know, it can be Roshan, it can be Deonta Foreman, and it might be Khalil Herbert. Whoever they choose, I'm expecting about 160 rushing yards per game. It's about where their average sits right now.
I'm so upset with Justin Fields and DJ Moore after this last week, man. I asked you guys on Fantasy Rant who should I play? How, like, remember I asked that, and I didn't take your advice. I stuck with my gut
And did the Fields and Moore stack, and I literally just said to myself, I'm like, this is either gonna make or break my season, and it broke me, man. It broke me down.
Who is your alternative?
Sam Howell would have been at quarterback. I had James Cook, Jordan Addison.
Ouch.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah. So
I left 60 points on my bench.
that's the
But
worst.
between so I started Bijan and DJ Moore instead of James Cook and Jordan Addison.
Yeah, I mean that's
Make
tough.
me wanna cry.
Addison calls a tough one with Nick Mullins being in there, but James Cook I would have went over DJ Moore.
yeah, you did say that. I didn't do it. I lost.
Didn't listen to the fantasy guy.
Didn't listen to the fantasy guys. But hey, man, sometimes you just gotta trust your gut. And every time I haven't played DJ Moore this year, he got off. He's had a great game. So I was scared. And yeah, that fear ended up making me lose. So don't be scared, kids.
So you got the Cardinals?
Yeah, I actually do have the Cardinals in this game. This is going to be one of those types of games that the Cardinals shouldn't win, and they're going to win, and it's just going to mess up where they're drafting a little bit, and it's just going to help the Bears try and consolidate the 1 and 5 picks. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now on that. I don't know. Kyler is bound to pop off for one of these games, and I don't know. I think that he has a connection with Trey McBride. Um, Greg Dortch might make a play or two. Rondale Moore is pretty good. So yeah, give me the Cardinals to be contrarian here, so we're not all rolling with the same team on this pick. After that, we got Dolphins Cowboys, two teams that can't beat good football teams. How are we gonna play this?
It's got to. It's
Yeah.
not naturally. It has to be a tie, right?
If that game ended in a tie, if
Season.
that was our tie in our season, that would be insane, dude. Insane.
That'd be so disappointing. So what I'm expecting to be,
Would you be surprised?
yeah,
Nah.
I wouldn't be surprised. That's the thing. Yeah, it feels like the Dolphins should be a little bit favored to win. I think right now, the last I saw, the line's at 1.5 points in favor of the Dolphins. I think I just got to lean that way after seeing what James Cook did to this defense last week. They clearly could not stop the speedy, agile running back. And what do the Dolphins have? Raheem Mostert, Devon Achane. I still have to get used to saying Achane instead of Achane. It's so weird to me. What is that you doing there?
It's A-Chain, baby.
Achane. All right. So yeah, I'm taking the Dolphins though. I just think they can run the ball at will on this team. And if Tyreek actually comes back full strength, then they're gonna have dual threat there. Where really the Cowboys have been struggling to get Pollard going, and the Dolphins secondary has been really solid. Outside of that Tennessee game, that was a weird game for them. But outside of that Tennessee game, the Dolphins defense, specifically the secondary with Ramsey back, has been lights out. So no matter where Lamb goes, he's going to be covered by either Ramsey or Howard. I did see that he's running 44% of his routes from the snap or from the slot. So he could sneak away a little bit here and there, but there's only so much hiding of CD Lamb you can do in the slot. So I like the Dolphins.
Who can go for it?
So I really need the Dolphins to lose, so I'm picking Dallas. But
What's going on?
I love
but I'll
this
give you a little
analysis.
more
I'm loving
analysis.
it.
I'll give you more analysis this time. The Cowboys are coming off of a really embarrassing loss here, and so I like their offense to actually show up this week. I can't believe the way the Bills completely shut Dak down. I don't expect Dak to like completely get shut down that way. And and what you touched on about the rushing attack is what I'm really nervous about. If they just keep feeding Achane and Mostert, they should win. I'm hoping that Tyreek coming back and him missing a game and them wanting to get him that to 2,000 yards will actually be their undoing. That's what I'm hoping for. We'll see. And yeah, and this is like the opposite of when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object. It's like the opposite of that.
That's kind of interesting what you brought up with the whole Tyreek thing. I don't know if you guys watched the last episode of Hard Knocks, but they were after they got back to the red zone, they were talking about Mostert breaking some like franchise record for rushing touchdowns.
Yep.
And Mike McDaniels did go up to Mostert and goes, after we got back in the red zone, I had no option. I had to feed you, had to get you back into the end zone there. So most teams, I would say, especially if it's the Falcons, especially if it's Arthur Smith, he doesn't care about any stats. But Mike McDaniel's a modern man.
Job security.
Yeah, right. But yeah, that'll be interesting to see.
I'm gonna take Dallas here. I think Bahookie's onto something with the whole, they got blown out last week, straight up embarrassed, and what was typically a pretty solid run defense, they got taken advantage of. They got moved off their spot, and they got embarrassed. I don't think that they're going to allow that to happen 2 weeks in a row. This game is at Miami, but it's not what's it called? It's not September, so it shouldn't be, 105 degrees for the Cowboys. I mean, they play in Texas. I get it's a dome, but they should be able to handle heat and like that type of humidity. So give me the Cowboys in a bounce back spot here. And the Dolphins just took advantage of the Jets as well. So it's kind of two teams, both on like opposite ends of blowouts. One's feeling super good about themselves. One's ready to get down and work. And I just also think that at this point in the season, it's about who has more grit rather than who has the fancier footwork. And I feel like Dallas is more grit team, and Miami is more like a speed, fancy footwork type team that has a lot of like,
the word
I'm looking for, sleight of hand. They use a lot of motion, a lot of trickery, which is very good and important in your offense. But sometimes you just meet this like physical big team that just is like, yeah, we're not playing like that today, buddy. You're gonna learn, and that's what I feel like is gonna happen to Miami. So I'm taking the Cowboys here.
Okay. I hear what you're
Um,
saying. I do see the Cowboys
Both teams have to return to the mean,
they do have to return to the mean, but Dallas is still 19th on the season in terms of rushing yards allowed. 117 per game, and over the last 3, 148. So I
That's
think
what
that
I'm most worried about. What you just said is that
yeah.
rush attack. No,
And I mean, everyone thinks of Miami as a passing team because obviously Tua and Tyreek, you got Waddle as well. Like they make the big splash plays, but Miami's
they thrive
second
off
in the league.
chunk gains in the run game. Like they
Yeah,
thrive off
exactly.
it.
Right. They're second, or they dropped down to fourth, barely in fourth right now. They're 1.3 yards behind Detroit for second. But yeah, fourth in the league in rushing yards per game. And really quick, touching on what you were saying about the home field advantage. This was a TikTok video, so take it for what it is. But I saw that the the Dolphins a few years back like remade their stadium. They put their home bench in the shade.
East
And
West Stadium.
exactly. So the sun's beating down on the opponents. And then on top of it, y'all already know, like if you're the home team, you get to choose the color of your jersey. They always go white. They make the other team take a colored jersey, and that sun's down on them. Like you said, it's late in the year. It's not going to have that much of effect. But I thought it was interesting enough to bring up that they literally designed their stadium to have the Miami Heat beat down on these teams.
That's it. It helps in September, October, but it's not going to help you win playoff games.
Oh, yeah, no. Now it's not going to be a big factor. And Tyler, maybe you already knew about this because I saw that the Patriots bring their own like air-conditioned benches to their away games with the Dolphins.
Yeah, we know full well that weird things happen in Hard Rock Stadium. I will say this, it's an interesting like comparison between like a stats based approach and I just feel this in my gut kind of approach.
Right.
Like that's kind of like where we're at here on that
Yeah.
on that particular game. And I like how like both are really good football teams, but they're good in different ways. So we're gonna kind of see if the analytics or the hard nose kind of wins out in that type of scenario.
No, I get that. I took Dallas last week, and my gut told me Buffalo, but I was like, all right, I live in Western New York. Don't let that Buffalo gut feeling take over. And yeah, I was wrong. I should have went with the gut.
It happens. The next game is I'm going to talk my talk because the Broncos and the Patriots are playing on Christmas Eve night in a primetime game. We're going to have to watch Bailey Zappi in primetime throw 3 picks and get a fumble forced on him as well. Because this Broncos defense is pissed they got absolutely Sam Laported last week. So
they got Sam Laported. They did.
they got Sam Laported. It was bad. It also another contributing factor in one of my losses this week in fantasy. So big stat on that. But it's okay. It's okay. I'm totally over it. The Broncos are winning this football game. The Pats are going to score like 10 points. They're going to run the ball. They're going to punt it on 4th and 3 on the 43 of the Broncos instead of, trying to kick a long field goal because their kicker sucks. And yeah, you guys can go ahead and pick the rest of the game.
I think you pretty much summed it up, honestly. This this Patriots team is on its last leg here. I don't know, like if any of these players really wanted to go out there and play anymore. I don't know if their coach wants to go out there and coach anymore for them. I'm gonna have a hard time picking them against anyone the rest of the year. Give me the Broncos, especially after a loss like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go for it, Dan.
I mean, I'll make it easy. It's Denver. I'll take that defense over this New England Patriots offense on its own. I don't know if they even need the offense in this game. I think the defense could put up enough points to beat this Patriots offense.
Broncos anytime touchdown score. Mark it down.
That's a good bet. That's a good bet.
So getting into the Christmas games now. We got 3 Christmas games. First one is probably going to be a snore fest. But
2 of them.
You know what? Actually, the Raiders and the Chiefs kind of play each other tight for like
3 quarters.
2 quarters. Yeah, 2-3 quarters, and then the Chiefs just are like, yeah.
Yep, that's what this game.
Go back home.
Hit on the head.
Go back home to Las Vegas, guys. So give me the Chiefs, but it's got like Antonio Pierce has had his dudes playing pretty good football as of late. I just think that the talent disparity in the 2 teams is still too great for them to kind of like. We just saw what the Chiefs did to a team that's not all so good. I mean, 27-17, 27-20. Like that's what's gonna happen. Go for it, one of you.
Yeah, more or less kind of something we saw a lot of crazy games last week. One of my common themes with a lot of the games, teams returning to the mean. Like the Raiders are not going to score 63 points again this week, not against this defense. And but yeah, the Chiefs probably won't be a very very sexy win. I could see like a 27-20 kind of game here, but I feel pretty comfortable picking the Chiefs at home.
Dan,
yeah,
go
100%.
for it.
Yeah, I mean, the Chiefs are just the better team. On top of it, since 2013, the Raiders have won against them 3 times. So even without Patrick Mahomes, it's a done deal there.
All right, Eagles, Giants. Go for it, Dan. We'll go Dan, Bahookie, me, and then we'll spend a little time talking about this Ravens 49ers game, and then we'll get out of here.
Yeah, I think the Eagles just run away with this. After losing 3 straight, they're pissed off. They're ready to take their anger out on someone, and they have an easy schedule rest of the season. Eagles.
No Tommy Cutler love?
No Tommy Cutler love.
You can go for it.
Yeah, I am getting forced into starting Tommy DeVito at Superflex with Kenny Pickett being benched. So
it might be better than Kenny Pickett anyway.
we'll see how that goes. But yeah, Philly's coming off of 3 straight losses here. If they lose this game to the Giants, that's another that would be the nail in the coffin on the division to drop another divisional game here.
Oh man.
I mean, they got played by the Commanders tight in two games there. So.
Oh, we keep on. I got him.
Yeah,
they had a chance to slam the door shut. They didn't. I think that they take care of business here. We'll see what Dallas does. It's going to be an interesting end to this divisional race for them. But yeah, I got Philly pretty comfortably here over New York at home.
I got Philly as well, but I'm going to give you a quick stat for you guys who like to gamble. I'm pretty sure this is accurate. If it's not, it's off by 1 or 2 games. But Boston Scott has scored a touchdown against the Giants in the last 10 to 12 games that he's played against them in, I'm pretty sure. He did it last year, each game, and in the playoffs as well. Boston Scott 1 yard kind of scamper. So that might not be a horrible thing to look into and maybe throw a little flyer on or like add it into your parlay. I mean, it's probably going to be at like plus 2,000 since they have Gainwell, Swift, and Hurts, but like he has this streak going, and I don't know, Sirianni might seem like a streak guy to me. So give me a Boston Scott touchdown.
Okay. I'm fact checking
like
right
that?
now. In the past 3 years, every game, 6 games in a row.
I'm telling you, dude.
That's wild. I thought I found one, and it's like, nope, receiving touchdown actually. So
Yeah.
this is a thing. Yup.
He just
Another
slithers
year.
into the end zone.
4 years in a
I
row.
don't know, man.
This is wild. Bro, yeah,
You like
so
that
dating
one?
back to his rookie year. His rookie year is the only year he didn't do it. That was 2018. So
That's a
there's
stat.
something to this, man.
That's an accurate stat
I'm
there,
on
Tyler.
it. I hit this in the playoffs last year, and I was like, dude, I will do this every time they play. As long as
That is
Boston Scott's
amazing.
on the roster, I'm making that bet.
And there's like no correlation too. He was born in
No.
Louisiana. There's nothing to this. It's just what it
No.
is.
It just happens. It's one
It
of
just
those
happens.
random, beautiful life mysteries that loves to happen occasionally.
Betting hack.
Like
Taking advantage over that the next 3 weeks.
All right, guys. Last game on the slate, Monday, Christmas Day, 8:15.
Game of the week.
Might be the game of the year.
This
Might
is the
be
MVP. This is the MVP.
year. This is the MVP game. I don't know why that keeps happening.
Yeah, it's like,
The MVP. I said it's the MVP bowl. That's what I said.
yes.
Does
Fair.
Brock Purdy win the MVP? If he wins this football game, yeah. He also soiled me in both of those home leagues, by the way, as well.
You played against him?
Yeah. Did not need those 4 touchdowns and perfect game either. That last one to Deebo Samuel really grinded my gears. You're up 35-20 or 22. It's like you're playing the card. There was no need to throw that touchdown pass. None at all. You've ran it every single play up until the point. You're like, nah, I'm just going to throw a streak to Deebo.
Just to spite Tyler.
Yep, just for me. That was just for me.
Oh, man.
Oh man, it's a tough game to pick. Give me the Niners, but I'm gonna take the Ravens on the spread. I know we don't do spreads, but it's -5. I think that's a little high. I think it's a little higher for a team that doesn't see Lamar Jackson very often. That's a big thing. Lamar Jackson's like 18-1 or 19-1 against NFC teams in his career, I believe. If you want to fact check me, you can go ahead and fact check me. But
I don't
he
even
has
know
a
how
very,
to
very
fact check that one.
he has a very good
It's
record.
a stat. He's not telling that. He's not lying. You got anything else, Tyler?
No, I'm gonna take the 49ers to break that stat, but this is a 1 point to 2 point game in my opinion.
Yeah, I got San Fran as well here. Again, Baltimore plays Miami next week, so it's in my best interest for them to lose and be angry for when they go into that game against Miami. But the truth is, San Fran is the best team right now, and I don't know if there's a team in the NFL besides my Bills who I'd be biased for to beat this San Francisco team, especially on the road. Yeah, I'm gonna take San Fran, and I'm gonna say they might even cover in this game.
Okay. Yeah,
Wow.
I'm on your side here. I just think they're the more complete team. If the Ravens wide receivers were a little bit more stacked here, and if Bateman came to be anything, OBJ's streaky as hell. Even Zay Flowers last week, he's on that same Bijan team, man. I just needed 3 points. 3 points from Zay Flowers.
You got one catch. Yep,
one catch for 7 yards, 1.7 points. That's 1.3 less than I needed. Thank you, Zay. Appreciate you, man.
I played Zay over Ken Walker and lost by the exact number of points that I needed.
Oh no!
Yeah, that's a different league.
Feeling in fantasy.
Different league. I started, I'm like, all right, Zay. I don't know about Ken Walker, a little bit of injury, so I played Zay, got the 1 point, 4, and I'm just watching Kenneth Walker flying up the field in this game. I'm just like, so yeah. Upset.
That is rough.
It was a tough weekend for me, real tough, because I also went 3 out of 4 on 3 different anytime touchdown parlays.
Oh, well,
yep.
3 out of 4.
Yeah, and each one. So I went 9 for 12.
There's one more.
Yeah,
Damn.
every time.
No,
It was
that is
Justin
tough.
Fields. It was Justin Fields. It was Cortland Sutton, and it was Zay Flowers. Yep.
Yeah, man.
There
You
was
should have had a game.
$900. It was $2,300, and it was $500 that I missed out on.
Everything was set up for him. He just didn't capitalize. It's
Brutal.
rough.
Brutal.
But real quick shout out to the Fantasy Rant podcast. We talked about Brock Purdy. We talked about his end of season schedule. I talked about my league where this was the first year I took Patrick Mahomes in any league. I had the 101. I took Jefferson, Andrews, Mahomes. Wanted the top wide receiver, tight end, and quarterback.
Wow.
Look how that worked out. Let's not do that again. But real quick, I in that league, I traded away Patrick Mahomes because I had Brock Purdy as my backup. So I ended up trading away Mahomes in London for Stephon Diggs and Stevenson. Clearly, I'm a jinx because Stevenson got injured as well. But that process worked out well. Over the last 5 weeks, Brock Purdy, QB6, QB2, QB2, QB6, QB4. That was over the last 6 weeks. There was one QB 23 week mixed in there. But outside of this matchup with Baltimore, he's got Washington after this. Go fire up Brock Purdy for your championship week if you have him. We talked about trading for him. I think Brock Purdy's a hidden gem that obviously he was Mr. Irrelevant, but I just think that he does enough to get it done. He's a game manager in the best system to be a game manager in. So just the more complete team. I think that the wide receivers are going to be the key component here, even against a tough Ravens secondary. Give me the 49ers. Like Bahookie said, I think they cover the 5.5.
Word. All right, guys. So that was a very electric episode of Fifth Down Territory, like it typically is. I think we all brought the energy. Danny brought some great stats. Bahookie keeps us on track. We're just over an hour, but it's okay because we spent a little bit longer time on some of the really good matchups, and we shit talked some coaches. We really did it. We got through it, and it was pretty fun, to be honest. I got a lot of anger off my chest from multiple losing efforts in fantasy. Not just that. I mean, if they won the game, would have been one thing, but they didn't. They didn't win the game. They don't have a winning record. Yeah, so no more excuses for Arthur Smith in my book. But that's the show. Check out Stadium Rant. It's at Stadium Rant HQ on Twitter, at Stadium Rant HQ on Facebook, Instagram. Check out our YouTube channel, which you might be on right now watching this show. Check out at Bahookie Montana and at Follow the Volume for Dan and Blake. And I hope you guys enjoy your Christmas and have a happy holiday.
Great show, guys. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.